Hello and welcome once again to Fired Up. I'm your host for the show, Bob Irwin. We are broadcasting from the studios of the American Guns and Glory Network here in Las Vegas, Nevada. This show is about guns, related politics, and self-defense issues. Fired Up is on our website at firedupwithbobirwin.com. A new show is posted every Thursday around 5 p.m. Pacific time. We fooled everybody last week by putting it up early. Gotcha. New shows appear on YouTube and numerous other media, and I say YouTube because, you know, everybody's fighting with YouTube that has guns now, and we could disappear from there anytime. So I would suggest that you log onto our website, firedupwithbobirwin.com, and when you're there, you can punch there'll be something, depending on which station you're watching it, they're all over the place, they're running it. Just hit subscribe and we'll send you the new shows as they come out. You'll get them Friday evening or Saturday morning. The audio feed is rebroadcast for radio listeners on Saturdays at noon on the Nevada Talk Network. The information is appearing on your screen right now. And the questions and comments, you can send an email to bob@firedupmail.com or leave the message on my studio office recorder, 257-1060, that's area code 702. That should appear on the bottom of your screen throughout the show now and again. There are several hundred defensive uses of firearms every week in the United States, rarely covered by the mainstream media. So we always present a few for our listeners' education. Some are good, some are questionable, some are once in a while just plain wrong, but all are educational for firearms owners. And as Fired Up is a nationwide show, individual incidents are generally adjudicated under local law. The results, the advice that we give you on the show may not apply in different jurisdictions. The advice given here is intended to keep you safe, out of jail, and hopefully prevent you losing your house in a lawsuit. My guest today is a firearms instructor and a retired Fed. I wrote that in, I couldn't say it right. And retired Fed, Lenny Davis. Lenny, a bit of your background, if you would, for everybody.
That's federal agent to you, mister.
Yeah.
I'm Lenny Davis. I'm a retired special agent with Department of Homeland Security. I also have been, for the last about 10 years, been a subject matter expert in anti-terrorism for the U.S. State Department's Global Anti-Terrorism Assistance Program. And I am currently the owner and chief operations officer of SRT Special Services. We are a private investigations and security firm here in Las Vegas.
Okay. WABC TV 7 and the New York Post, always a reliable place to find news, reported on the 22nd of this month, about a week ago now from this show, in the Bronx, New York City, a bodega, I said it again with an R, bodega owner, who shot a robber dead, or shot a now dead robber, is not expected to be charged, police said on Monday. The 43-year-old owner of the J Market on Morrison Street in South Soundview was questioned by police and later released following the 10:30 p.m. Sunday night incident at his store. The shop owner and legal gun owner quickly called the police after shooting a 32-year-old thief, now a robber, in the head when he jumped over the store counter to attack the owner. According to law enforcement sources, the robber had been in the market earlier in the evening, had grabbed money off the counter that belonged to another customer, and ran out the door. At 10:30 that evening, he returned. After the shoot, emergency responders rushed the 32-year-old robber to Jacobi Medical Center, where he died. According to police, he had a lengthy criminal record dating back to 2006. Put a little of that in here right here. Prior to Wednesday, he was arrested for petty larceny, arrested for criminal mischief on July 16th and again on July 16th and again on July 18th. The shop owner declined to speak to reporters about the incident, a really good idea. A former worker at the bodega defended the owner's actions. He said he did what he had to do to protect his business. He noted the owner and his wife share a young son together. He was just doing what he had to do to protect his family. That is nice information they put in the Post. It has nothing to do with whether the shooting is valid or not, however, and you can't use that in court as a defense. Police said the owner of the store killed the would-be robber in self-defense despite not finding any evidence the intruder had a gun. New York PD says the gun the owner had was legal and the store owner does not have any criminal record. This is, I was surprised. It appears under at least some circumstances a New York business owner may fire in self-defense. As the clearly agile would-be robber came over the counter, the owner was certainly in reasonable fear of serious physical harm. If the guy could jump the counter, presumably he was an athletic individual. I understand New York authorities are overwhelmed, but how many crimes must one punk commit before he's taken off the street? News reports are clear that NYPD officers have no backup from the mayor, etc. They are left with only civilians to stop street crime. That's just my political comment after reading this thing. But apparently the store owner is not in trouble. Mr. Davis.
Yeah, well, obviously, I too, I think if I was this store owner and this guy jumps over the counter, I'm going to be in fear of my life, and I'm going to use a firearm if I have it to defend myself. Shot the guy in the head, pretty much stopped the entire incident, and pretty much cleaned up the neighborhood a little bit. This situation, knowing just what we know from the media, seems like it was a pretty cut and dried self-defense case by the owner of this store, and hopefully that will continue to be the outcome of this, because clearly this guy was not a model citizen, although he'd never really done anything in violent crime, but you never know when they're going to step up. So to me, it's a good shoot.
Yeah, I put this in because I was just stunned, as from my comments previously, that in New York City, the heart of liberal whatever it is, the police looked at this, and the DA's office advisor, and went, you know what? Good shoot.
Yeah.
I am just startled. So, but I found that in other jurisdictions on occasion. I had a case a couple of weeks ago, or 4 months ago, that I worked on here with one of the guests, where a guy in Hawaii shot a burglar that came into his house, and it was immediately ruled a good shooting. Despite the fact they have these tremendous anti-gun laws, they have absolute solid Castle Doctrine laws that if somebody's in your house, he's fair game. I was really surprised. I called the attorney in Hawaii that was handling the case, going, did I read this right? And he said, oh, absolutely, yes. It's they're in your house, they're dead meat. That's a quote, so I won't tell you who the attorney was. Anyway, we're going to break for just 1 second for a commercial, and we'll be right back. Don't go away. Hi, I'm Bob Irwin, and I get to do my own commercial. The short version is I've had 50 years experience in firearms, firearm repair, firearm design, 30,000 CCW holders I've personally taught, 20,000 security officers, etc. Taught in 28 police academies, firearms and use force. I've also appeared more than 200 times in gun-related cases in federal, state, and local court. I wrote this book, The Reality of Armed Self-Defense, because it answers virtually all the questions that I get every time I talk to people, answers questions that come in the emails. It will tell you what you need to know to keep yourself out of prison if you get involved in a self-defense shooting case, keep from losing your house in a civil lawsuit. There are lots of things I've learned over these years and watched people make a lot of mistakes. This book will save you a lot. If you purchase one, read through it, I'm sure you will find it enlightening. And it'll save me a lot of time on these shows trying to explain to people what they did wrong and what they shouldn't have done and so forth and so on. So you can buy it by sending me the funds at the address below, bob@firedupmail.com, or leave a message on my phone number there, which is 702-257-1060. I will return your calls and tell you where to mail the money and so forth and so on. They're available on my website also, which is attached to this regular show. Cost is $15. I said add for postage if you live outside the immediate 50 states, and I will get it to you first class mail. Thank you for listening. This book will save you a lot of hassle. Thanks. And we are back. That was a great commercial. You should buy that book from that guy. Seems to be a very knowledgeable fellow. This story is from The Vindicator in Youngstown, Ohio. It's from a week and a half ago, the 22nd of October. And basically it says, a McGuffey Road business owner early Sunday morning fired 3 shots at intruders he saw inside his business. Officers were called about 1:30 in the morning to the 1200 block of McGuffey Road for an alarm call. When they arrived, they were greeted by the owner, who said he also responded to the alarm and found the back door open. He was not on property. He was responding to a call from the alarm company. The owner told police he saw 2 men inside and fired 3 shots at them from his .45 caliber semi-automatic pistol, but missed. I would add here, fortunately. Reports said video showed 3 men inside, one with a pry bar, which they used to take $500 from the cash register. The back door appeared to have been opened with the pry bar, also according to police reports. So that's all well and good. There is, do you see anything wrong with this?
What don't I see wrong with this?
We understand that how mad people get when their business is violated, their home is violated, et cetera. But this was really not smart. The bad guys don't know you're there. Why in the world would you fire into a darkened room at what you can't see? I'll go on later. I'll let you have this. I'm going to go start yelling again.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is absolutely ludicrous. This guy is very, very lucky, like Bob said, that he didn't hit anybody. He's probably lucky that the district attorney did not charge him with assault with a deadly weapon or attempted murder, because he's firing at somebody. He's outside the building. He's not in there. These guys are not in any way, shape, or form a threat to him to where it brings it to the level of the use of deadly force. This is just insane. Folks, I know people get mad and everybody's mad at crime. And believe me, in my 63 years on this planet, I get mad because I see things that go on. But to go ahead and pull the trigger on someone, you don't even know who's in there, what's in there. They're no threat to you. You are being very, very foolish. This harkens back to our former Vice President Joe Biden, who is I'm proud to say is probably one of the dumbest individuals when it ever came to firearms and how to defend yourself. He's the famous, well, you don't need an AR-15. Just go outside with that double-barrel shotgun and fire a couple of rounds in the air, and they'll leave you alone. Well, folks, if you do that, you better hope to God that the ammunition, the pellets from the shotgun, don't fall on somebody and kill them, because you are going to be responsible for a voluntary manslaughter. Just like this man, if he'd have shot these guys and hit them, and heaven forbid killed one, he would have been, depending on how the state laws are in Ohio, he very easily could have been done for a murder, or at least murder in a second degree, and I guarantee you a voluntary manslaughter. folks, I've for any of you that see me on this show, I tell you time and time again, the property's not worth your life. There's nothing worth your life, the property. This is $500 they took. To me, my life's worth a hell of a lot more than $500. So don't put yourself in a bad situation. Don't shoot into a building that you don't know what's going on. Don't enter that building or enter your home and try to clear it. I know there's a very famous firearms instructional academy not very far from here that they train their students to make single person entries into a home, which is the dumbest thing in the planet. All that's going to do is get you killed. So be a good witness. Put yourself within cover so you're safe in case they came out and shot at you. Yeah, you can challenge them, but if they're not coming at you, you can't fire a shot at them legally. So the best thing to do is become a good witness, get cover, stay there, protect yourself, and wait for the law enforcement to arrive. It's just not worth it.
Now, I have to comment to something that Lenny just said, that the guy has not been charged. Understand how this works in television. We film shows sometimes a week or 2 weeks ahead. And reality is we're filming this show 3 days after this shooting took place. The show is airing next week sometime from where we are sitting right now in time. So I'm not sure when we may believe that the guy is not being indicted, from where the time this was written and the time we're recording the show is only 72 hours. It's really likely, I think, he will be.
There's a very good chance of it. And
there's no point. I read this thing and I'm going, so this is turns about to be 3 unarmed juveniles and he kills one. I mean, he wounds one. That's the end of his life.
And how many people are business owners that have business insurance, that their insurance would cover this? Maybe part of it, but even so, it's $500. $500, folks, is not worth taking somebody's life over. I don't care who it is. And by the way, that description that you gave of the weak lag and all that was nearly a Rod Serling Twilight Zone kind of.
Well, I know.
It got you to thinking.
I could mention we're taping this before the election, and we should discuss who we think's going to win. But
Go Big Red. Oh, sorry.
We won't. I talked about that quite a bit last week, as long as we're going to touch on that. All of the R's, Republicans on your ballot, are good guys. They're all pro-gun. Right down the line, federal, state, local. All of the D's are anti-gun. It's real easy. Vote for the one that says R behind his name, and you're there. Hopefully. This comes from, let me see, we're looking at time, 40. Okay, we've got about 10 minutes. Good. This is from Fox TV 61 in Bloomfield, Connecticut. Was reported on October 19. The Bloomfield Police Department responded to I didn't run my monitor forward here, so. The Bloomfield Police Department responded to an alarm, reported disturbance on Mitchell Drive this is in Bloomfield, Connecticut. And I will give credit here to the reporter, Fox 61's chief investigative reporter, Brian Foley, put out most of this information because the police reports and whatnot are not really available, but he did interview pretty much everybody involved and put together a nice story. So I did get confirmation, some of it from other websites, but this is basically what went on. A 43-year-old suspect attacked his 30-year-old female neighbor as she was sitting in a car in her parents' driveway. While being attacked, the daughter honked her horn and screamed, alerting her father. His daughter managed to escape and run to the house, but the attacking neighbor followed her. Her father reported he came up on the step and said, "I love your daughter and I want to rape your daughter." That's an exact quote. The two then started wrestling. The father yelled to his wife to bring his gun. He got the gun. Now armed, the father urged his neighbor to leave. "I hold the gun in my right hand. I said, I don't want to hurt you. Please get off my property." Even with a gun in my hand, I could see that he had no fear. The father fired a warning shot into the air. The neighbor left momentarily but came back, so the father fired a second shot into the air. Right then, the arriving Bloomfield police officer took the suspect into custody. The would-be rapist is under arrest and charged with unlawful restraint, attempted sexual assault, attempted home invasion, and a number of other things. The Bloomfield police detective conferred with the Connecticut State's Attorney's Office while at the scene and were advised that criminal charges for the father would not be applicable for firing his weapon in this incident. That is, I know we live in a violent, awful, ridiculous society. I put in my notes, what kind of world do we live in? Where you can walk up to the father of a young lady and demand the right to rape his daughter. The Connecticut State's Attorney's Office and the Bloomfield Police made the right call in not charging the father with anything. Firing a shot in the air, as we all know, is an illegal act in virtually every jurisdiction in America. Several innocent people are hurt and sometimes killed on the 4th of July and New Year's Eve in our country every year. In this incident, the father showed tremendous restraint. I can't imagine myself in his position firing a shot into the air.
As a father of two daughters, and had this happened to me, the two shots I would have fired would have been about that far apart. I don't know how he didn't shoot this guy. In my mind, if this guy was there that close and had obviously attempted to rape this man's daughter and verbally announced that, this guy, if he'd have taken a half a step towards me, he would have been shot. The father showed amazing restraint. The only thing that I can say is, luckily for the father, and I hope to God this was the case, that the two rounds that he fired in the air fell harmlessly somewhere and didn't hurt anyone. That's my only concern with that. But this is one of those things that this guy, the attacker, was just hell bent, and he's very lucky at, and people say, well, you don't need to have guns because, the police will handle it. Well, as you can well see, what would have happened if this guy hadn't had a gun? If he wasn't in possession of a firearm and fired those two warning shots, would he have been, he could have been easily taken. I don't know the difference in size between the two gentlemen, but, if this guy were to knock him down and injure him, and then he could have raped the daughter before the police showed up. So, he's very, very lucky. And I say to anybody that says, well, the police are here to protect us and that's what they should do, you don't need a gun. Well, I always say, when seconds count, the police are minutes away. In this case, I think this father acted well within the law and well within his rights and again, showed a tremendous amount of restraint. Bob, I have to agree with you on that.
Yeah, when this show airs, one of the media that carries these shows, ammoland.com, which is a great gun information site. I've been on them for several years. They generally pull the video, and there was video with this. And when I send this into them and they put it on, which will be a couple of weeks from now, you will be able to see the video of the father being interviewed, which is why I gave credit to this reporter, Mr. Foley, in the opening of this segment, because he did a really good job getting information. And anyway, I'm just was floored. We're running out of time. Please, when you have a moment, check out our recent shows at www.firedupwithboberwin.com. The site contains recent shows and older shows are being added as we get to it. The commercials keep us on the air. I think the only commercial in the show is the one for me selling my book, so that's fine. Capitalism wins every time. We've got a whole setup coming on our website for Fired Up merchandise for sale, hats and t-shirts and so forth. That should be up completely in another week or so. So hopefully by the time of this broadcast, you'll be able to pull up there and see all kinds of neat stuff we've got for sale. We'll be back next Thursday on our website and at YouTube on the American Guns and Glory Network. Remember, when watching media, hit subscribe and you'll be sent the shows as they come up that same evening or the first thing in the morning, and you'll get them automatically. So you don't have to worry about and then forward them to your friends. Remember, the audio portion is repeated on the Nevada Talk Network if you live anywhere in Nevada, Saturdays at noon, and there's a whole bunch of stations there. There's a slide on your screen about that now. Thanks for supporting Fired Up. This is a really fun thing to do, and I hope to continue this for a long, long time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week.